past the hustle and bustle of the Blue Mountains is this beautiful winding track leading up to one of the country's most historic houses. Located at the edge of the National Park, this is the pride and joy of Falconbridge, New South Wales, the National Trust Norman Lindsay Gallery. This charming sandstone cottage and garden estate is the former home of iconic Australian artist Norman Lindsay and his wife Rose. Norman Lindsay is one of Australia's most celebrated and influential artists, illustrators and authors. His most famous children's book, The Magic Pudding, is a beloved Australian classic. From 1912, his home became a bustling haven for art and literature. And today, that celebration of culture is continuing, with the estate playing host to family heirlooms, curious collectibles, and long-forgotten gems.
Not everyone has a great-grandfather who was the Archbishop of York. It's
No,
a pretty
absolutely.
big deal for us.
His auction price is $17 million for a work on paper.
This, for me, is a really wonderful Australian story.
You're not thinking of selling?
It's definitely food for thought. I mean, that's a lot of money.
We should probably get on our knees and
Yeah, maybe we
say a
should.
little prayer.
He was never into bacchanalian orgies, which people think he was.
Our experts are standing by, ready to look at an assortment of treasures, and well, I'm hoping for a few surprises along the way.
There we are.
Welcome to Antiques Roadshow Australia. It's the first Norman Lindsay Vintage Fair Day, and visitors have come dressed in styles of bygone eras. With more than half of Australia's population being first or second generation immigrants, you can bet we're about to uncover some fascinating heirlooms from every corner of the globe. And waiting eagerly to cast an expert eye over the first antique of the day is art historian and associate professor,
This is an exciting piece.
Dr. Robert Wellington.
We have this incredible silk painting, this great journey. We wind our way through, don't we?
Yes.
This road all the way through. It's a landscape of the mind. What can you tell me about this picture?
Well, this painting came to our family in the late 1970s. Normally, these paintings have a brocade border. As the story goes, during the Cultural Revolution, in order to hide away from the Red Guards, because they sought to destroy anything that was traditional and cultural, my grandfather, he cut away, rolled it up and hid it somewhere.
So much to say about this picture. The literati style goes all the way back to around 900 BCE. But the artist actually that is mentioned here, Wang Meng, is one of the 4 great masters of the Yuan dynasty painting. And so the artist is painting at the end of the Qing dynasty, so right at the end of the 19th century. The artist is painting in the style, a much earlier style. So this is a tricky one because, as you say, we do have some damage here because it has been cut down. But what we do know is this artist is actually highly collected. There's an example of his painting in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
Wow.
So he is a known artist. He's somebody working in late imperial China. So we value this piece at between $8,000 to $12,000.
Wow.
How does that make you feel?
That's lovely.
A little more than you'd expected?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Well, what I love about this picture, it really tells such a wonderful story of your history back to China, but bringing us to Australia. That's what we love about Australia. We're a multicultural place, and we each have these family stories that connect us all over the world. And this, for me, is a really wonderful Australian story.
Thank you. The painting means a great deal to me and my family and my link to southern China. I had thought it would be in the range of $4,000 or $5,000. 8 to 10, or even maybe more, was incredible. But it's part of my family, so it will remain with the family.
And from one Australian story to another, we turn to senior jewellery specialist Lauren Boostridge, who is ready to delve into the origins of this tiny treasure.
And there it is. Now, this is a gorgeous Victorian horseshoe brooch. What year was this purchased, or what year would you say?
71.
71.
Yeah.
I think it's actually much older. I would probably date this piece to around maybe 1880 to the turn of the century. It's very characteristic of the period. Was this something that you inherited?
No, it was a gift actually from a fella I met at Bondi Beach of all places.
Oh,
he was
wow.
an American, and I assumed he was an R&R guy because it's right in the middle of the time. And he said he was, but not from Vietnam. He was from New York.
He was from New York.
on holiday in Australia by himself for a week. So I thought, oh, I adopted him.
You adopted him, and so you had a week of fun and romance together.
It was just fabulous, you know, and at the end we were just having a farewell drink at the Wentworth, and he presented me with this little brooch as a memento for a happy week.
Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, it sounds like a very memorable week.
And I had this amazing hot pantsuit that was a Carla Zampatti hot pantsuit. And I'm sure he was married, you know, but that never came up. But
was he wearing a wedding ring?
No.
No, he wasn't married. No. You can't take those things
off. Not for the week.
Oh, what a beautiful story. And clearly it's a week that left an incredible impression on you, and it brings a lot of joy.
A lovely memento.
And a lovely memento, exactly right. Look, it's a very pretty piece. Unfortunately, it's not hallmarked, so we don't know the exact age. We don't know where it was manufactured. We don't know who the jeweller who crafted it was. But I would say it's likely, given the period, made in 9 carat or 15 carat gold. You can see the horseshoes are set with these lovely seed pearls, which is very typical of the style and very typical of the period. And of course, the horseshoe itself represents good luck, and it means protection to the wearer, which I think is a lovely meaning given your story and the time that you had together. I would estimate if you were to go to a retail store and try to replace an object like this, I think you'd be looking in the vicinity of $3,000 to $4,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So a very beautiful gift, and what a lovely treasure and memento from your time together.
Yes, it was. Memories and
gifts. Thank you for sharing your story and your beautiful piece with us.
Across the lawn,
So what we have here today, it really is amazing.
a unique family item has caught the eye of art advisor Elizabeth Hastings.
Can you tell me a little bit about it?
I'd love to. Thank you, Elizabeth. Look, we affectionately call it the Bears. It's a bit hard to tell now, but it was designed to keep umbrellas, and I'm told it was the hat stand as well, but also kept guns at one time. It's from our family homestead up in Orange, which was once a big sheep farm with over 10,000 sheep, and this was very much at the centrepiece of the homestead that dated back to 1888. It's just always been a part of, I guess, my life. My kids now love having it in the house. And the bears were always, I guess, a personification of that house, especially at night when the fire was burning and in its eyes it caught the glints of the flame. It's almost like it's a living piece of art.
Well, I can imagine if you're a 5-year-old boy and you stood about the size of the bear, he could be quite terrifying at night if you caught the light in his eyes.
Very much so. And my sons still look at it now and they're still quite... It's a respectful fear, you know. It's such a wonderful, well-cut piece that it's just,
Exactly. This is actually a wonderful piece of Black Forest furniture.
Okay.
These pieces actually originated in Switzerland, in a town named Brienz. And I would say it definitely dates to the mid to later 19th century, and it obviously came out to Australia at some point in that historic period. Can you think of perhaps any of your forebears who might have brought this piece to Australia?
I just have no idea.
No, but it's obviously been in your family for a number of generations.
For a long time.
The makers of Black Forest furniture, they generally worked in maple and walnut and linden. I think this piece is probably linden because of the lightness of the wood. In terms of value, there are a few little condition issues, but if you look around online, I've seen pieces just like this that are $40,000.
Wow. Okay, that's fantastic.
So this is a very special piece. You're not thinking of selling?
I haven't got that far yet. I feel like it's a family heirloom. It's very much a part of me and the family. It's definitely food for thought. I mean, that's a lot of money. So we'll see. Just for so long, I've just wanted to know, you know, sort of where it was from, what it was about, and also how much it's worth. It's been difficult for me to keep it because I haven't had the room or the place like it once did. So $40,000 sort of gives you a bit more of a nudge thinking about selling it.
Oh, I do love finding myself a hidden treasure. It's just as Australian as using a council clean-up to furnish a share home at university. And I can tell you I've been there. But I've assembled some of my friends, or more accurately, people I've just met. Come on in, friends. Hello, lovely to see you. I've got trash and treasure here. Which of these are trash and which of these are treasure? And I want to ask and see what other people think, because I need some help. Yes, you'll do. Come on in, please. And your name is, good sir?
Gary.
Gary, nice to meet you, Gary. Well, welcome. Any of these items look familiar off the bat to you?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Let's start down this end.
Well, it's a lamp.
Yeah, brilliant. He's off to a good start. It's a very good start. It's a moose lamp.
It's the sort of thing I would throw out.
Say you have to put some figures on this. Fire away. What would you... There's no right or wrong answer here. Have a go.
Well, I'm confident the lamp is trash. If I go in a retro store, $25 for the lamp.
Right. OK. Now, here we've got these lovely stock whip handles, I think they're called, stock whip holders. So they would mount the whip on the end. And it's all about the carving and the decoration here. We've got hands here and lots of lovely little designs. Any value, maybe?
Well, I think it's quite intricate carving, so that's unusual. So, and it's very Australian. It could, in theory, be old and more likely to be the treasure on the table. So I would say altogether $600.
OK. Now, this third item. It's a games box, I believe. Yes, we've got lots of all chess, yeah, backgammon, all the sorts of things that would put your friends to sleep.
Well, I played chess, but that's, I kind of recognise those pieces. $100 because I'm not impressed by the chess pieces.
Fair enough. We will find out soon. Now, this one, even I recognise this, and I'm not a sports guy, but I think that's the Ferrari livery. I have found out who these signatures are. You may have heard of them. The little-known Formula One drivers, Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. They were paired at Ferrari for many years.
I'm going to say $100.
OK. And last but not least, we have here, it looks like, yes, it's a cookbook, but for rations. So we're probably going back a bit here. So what do you reckon?
Well, people like retro kitchens, so on the side it would look nice, but
yeah, that's sort of it.
I'm sure there's a few of those around.
Feel it might be worth a bob?
Maybe $20.
Gary, I reveal the truth. It is time. So for this one here, it would actually be valued somewhere between $180 and $250.
Gosh.
There you go. Yeah, I know, it's surprising. There you go. Now, this next one, it could probably fetch up to about $4,500 at auction.
Wow,
yeah.
gosh.
So I'm going to, if you see me leaving wearing this later on, it's a different hat. It's a different hat. On we go. So we've got the chess set, the game set.
I wasn't convinced by the wooden chess pieces, so I thought $100, something like that.
Actually, it could pick up to about $1,000.
Wow.
Would you say? Yes. I'm not entirely sure why, but it looks, I mean, it's well looked after. It's a nice thing on the top here, but that's what I'm told. We're not experts, are we? My gosh. And we're certainly not experts at this next item, the stock whip handles. Yeah, you said again, it was around...
$600 for all of them.
You could be looking anywhere from $2,000 to $4,500 for that set.
So, and surely not for lamp.
The moose lamp, the piece de resistance.
Surely it's worthless.
We dismissed it.
$20.
We dismissed it, Gary.
Chuck it out.
I can tell you that if we took this to auction, it would fetch absolutely nothing. It is the trash. It is the trash. It is the trash. So we haven't offended anyone. It was the one thing we got right today. But I think you'd agree, this is a tough job for our valuers to get this right because we had mixed success today. You did very well. Well done, Gary. Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much.
And it's hard. This is hard to do right. I think we'll leave it to the experts. And while the owner of the stock whip handles is having a cracking time since finding out their value, it's time to take a look at what Divine Offering has landed in front of art and auction consultant Ronan Sulich.
So Isabel, you've brought in this beautiful embroidered devotional image of Our Lady. What can you tell us about it?
Well, this is a very old devotional picture of Our Lady of Solitude. It's a Spanish Filipino origin, and it's been passed down from my grandmother through to my aunties, through to my dad, and down to me.
It's
Yes.
an amazing piece of needlework. And also, very unusually, it's got the ivory hands and face, as you can see there, and embellished with all these small pieces of gold, like these little gold cherubs,
Yes.
little seed pearl set cross.
I still remember this as a child, being in my auntie's bedroom when I'd visit and seeing this on the altar. And she would tell me that it was her mother's, and it survived 2 world wars, especially the Second World War, where the family had to even evacuate their family home in the Philippines and go into hiding. And they obviously took this with them because it was that precious.
Would have been one of the most precious things in the household, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This particular image was published in about 1786 or in the 1780s. So you could probably safely date the actual iconography to that date.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so probably your great-great-grandfather, great-great-grandmother had it in their house, or the women of the household embroidered it, and it's been treasured ever since.
That's amazing, because I thought it just kind of stopped where my grandmother was, but maybe it is old.
It obviously came to her from someone, because it predates the 19th century when she would have been born.
This is such an important piece because this is all I have, really, to remind me of my grandmother.
So items like this, the market is slightly changed over recent years. A lot of people aren't really that interested in religious iconography. You know, you'd probably be looking at something in the region of $5,000 to $8,000 commercially.
I'm amazed by the value you've placed on it, and I always treasured it, and I will treasure it even more now.
Tell the children that follow, you know, how important it is, and keep the story going. We should probably get on our knees and
Yeah,
sort
maybe
of
we
say a
should.
little prayer.
These are photos of my grandmother, and this image was in her bedroom, so it really means a lot that we have it now, and we are going to look after this for her and for her story. It's just a special, special piece in our family that we will just treasure forever.
With the Vintage Fair Day in full swing, fine and decorative art specialist Madeline McKenzie
There we are.
takes a look at a little piece of rock and roll history.
So, Richard, what have you got for me to see today?
It's a 1969 EB3 bass made by Gibson, and this was Gibson's answer to the battle between Gibson and Fender. And they're icons of design of the 20th century, music icons. Jack Bruce was the bassist and songwriter for Cream. Eric Clapton was also the guitarist in Cream, and Jack Bruce had the guitar for some years, befriended Andy Johns, who was a music producer for Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, and they would get together and jam. And one night he gifted and left the bass with Andy Johns, and it was an auction in the United States in 2016. It was about 7,000 US, but it had been decapitated. In the letter of prominence at auction, the break was an important part of the story of this collaboration between these two people, that this is what happens when two demigods get together and smashed up guitars.
Wow, what a story. Incredible.
So as a luthier, I do a lot of work putting these back together, which is a musical instrument restorer. And I wanted to restore it, not necessarily masking the damage, but I didn't want to enhance it either.
So, very important guitar. It's great to have an original vintage 69 Gibson E3 here. Not only was it Jack Bruce of Cream's guitar, then it was Andy Johns. In the last 10 years, the market for vintage guitars really has gone up.
Okay.
We saw Christie's had the Mark Knopfler collection of guitars. They got millions of dollars for that. So I would say it would have increased in value slightly since you purchased it, plus the restoration. If this came up at auction today, I'd be saying you would expect it to fetch about $25,000 to $35,000.
Wow, goodness, yeah. Goodness. Thank you. I was very happy and surprised with the price. to hear such an instrument is so desirable and so important in the music world. I'll keep playing it. Other people will enjoy having a look and play too. For the while, it's with me.
While the rest of the team are busy with valuations, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to take a look inside the heritage-listed Norman Lindsay house, and we've got a special treat. We're going to have a chat with Norman Lindsay's granddaughter, Helen Glad. Hello, Helen. Good to see you. Tell me about this beautiful place. We're here in the Norman Lindsay Gallery that was in the Lindsay family for quite a long time.
Norman and Rose bought it in 1912 and Norman died in 1969 and it was always in the family. Would you like to see some of the treasures?
I would love to, Helen, thank you.
We'll see some of what Norman did.
So this is a really grand room. What would it have been used for when they were living here, when it was a home?
This was the living room and it was where the entertaining took place. And there were big sofas. And in fact, Norman did a series of paintings that fitted into niches around the wall.
Right. Norman certainly loved those Rubenesque women, didn't he?
Well, if you think about it, he was born in 1879 and women, Victorian and Edwardian women, were much more robust and they had waists and hips and breasts. Much more attractive for an artist to paint.
But this wasn't how Norman started his career as an artist, was it?
No, he began as a black and white artist. Etchings, watercolours, you name it. But oils he came to quite late in life.
Gosh, there's so much to look at. This piece here has caught my eye. And I notice here written on there is self-portrait. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, it is a self-portrait of Norman. It was issued in a magazine called Art in Australia. And there was talk that the whole of that magazine would be confiscated and Norman would be charged with obscenity. And you can see him kneeling there, shackled.
There's this bright group of, are they angels on one side and devils on the other?
No, not angels, perhaps gods.
Right.
And the devils are, in fact, the forces of censorship and stifling of artistic ability, which Norman fought against his whole life.
Norman was a master in each of these different art forms, but really that's uncommon. Most people who were etchers were specialists just in etching, weren't they?
Very much so. But it was just his way of putting forward his whole notion of what creativity was.
After exploring the provocative world of Norman Lindsay's art, I wanted to understand a different side of him. What was he like as a granddad?
So, Helen, now we're in the family kitchen. Can you tell us something about this space?
It was not originally part of the house. It was built in the 1920s when the family had grown and there were servants and all sorts of governesses and God knows what. But it remained the family kitchen right up until Norman's death.
I can't help but think of the thing that we probably know and love Norman for the most, which is his incredible children's book, The Magic Pudding.
Well, The Magic Pudding has remained part of Australian children's literature since it was first published in 1918.
Now, I believe you have a very special copy here with you today, Helen.
I have a copy that was issued the year of my birth. And Norman drew Helen Glad's special bear, Grandpa Lindsay.
How was it to have someone like Norman as a grandparent? That must have been, it must have been very normal for you.
It was totally normal. We'd come up and visit and there was always, it was an exciting place to visit because there were so many spots of magic. And he never read me The Magic Pudding because he was too busy talking. He enjoyed the vitality of youth.
What I love about these photographs is it shows us a very different Norman to the one that we see in his paintings and his etchings. Here he's the doting grandfather. That's
well, he's doting grandfather, and certainly he was never into bacchanalian orgies, which people think he was, and he wasn't. He was a great enthusiast for anything that was creative.
Well, Helen, you've been so generous showing us around. Thank you so much for your time and the incredible insights you've given us into both this house, but also Norman Lindsay, the man.
He was extraordinary. A one-off, I think one would have to say.
Now, nothing says a day in the mountains like the wind through your hair and a classic car that turns some heads. And, well, this one here has caught my eye. I better go check it out. Hello, Graham.
How are you?
Hello, good to see you. This is your car, I hope. You're not car sitting for someone. It's a beauty, but as a non-driver, I really know nothing about this. So please tell us about this beautiful machine.
It's a 1962 Dormobile. It's a Bedford. And we bought it about 3 years ago, partly restored, and we finished restoring it about a year ago.
It's really, really nice. And what's this roof all about? Is it just opens up to give some ventilation? You can tell I know nothing about cars, Graham, so help me out.
Yeah,
please.
so it opens up. I mean, obviously it's very small, so by the time you open that up, there's enough room to stand up. There's actually bunk beds inside, so if you'd want to be a child to sleep in there, but nice. There's plenty of room.
Amazing, so much room. Now, all right, Graham, I have to ask, a car like this, it must cost a pretty penny. How much is it worth?
Well, they're worth a lot more in England because they're very popular there, but in Australia, you probably about $20,000, I'd imagine.
I might stick to the tram ticket home, I think. Plus, I can't drive, so it'd be wasted on me. Well, thank you for bringing this in. There's a lot of wonderful cars here, and this one really caught my eye. It's a beauty. Thanks, Graham.
No worries.
Max, you've brought in an interesting collection of diverse items. Where do they all come from?
Well, they're all bits and pieces that belong to my great-grandfather, who was the Archbishop of York in the late 1800s, in the reign of Queen Victoria. His name was William Thompson.
When did he die?
1890, on Christmas Day, funnily enough.
Oh,
well, not funny for him, but anyway.
So starting with the knives, I'm assuming that these would have been purloined from the palace when your family moved. I mean, I would have thought they should have stayed with the Archbishop.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I wonder the same thing.
Yeah.
Apparently they were part of a set of 500 that were given to him by the knife makers of Sheffield. Where the other 497 are, I don't know.
And then we've got a little box here. When we open it, we can see the inside of the lid has Horse Guards, Archbishop of York's carriage. And on the other side, it says Constitutional Hill Gate. The interesting thing about this, these passes that were given to various dignitaries to enable them to enter the sort of park in front of Buckingham Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a sign of, you know, the fact that you're a very important person. But it's not hallmarked, which is interesting. So maybe he supplied the silver.
My father, he used to tell us that this would allow the holder to drive their sheep through Constitution Hill Gate.
It's like an E-tag for Buckingham Palace in a way, isn't it, of the old days? Like, there you go. These are quite collectible, these passes. As a collection of items, to put a figure on them, I would put something in the region of, you know, $5,000.
Wow. Well, that's quite a lot. I'm pretty happy about that. It's such a terrible cliche, but I couldn't sell it. I mean, not everyone has a great-grandfather who was the Archbishop of York. It's a pretty big deal for us. So they're things that won't leave the family, and I'll pass them down, and hopefully people will treasure them in the future. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Glad you brought them in.
This lower area of the Blue Mountains was settled in 1870 after the railway from Sydney had opened up. It was given its name by Sir Henry Parkes, who purchased 600 acres in 1877. However, long before European settlement and continuing today, this expansive area is home to the Darug and the Gundungurra peoples, a nation of tremendous size that spans 600 square kilometres from the mountains to the coast. Nearby is the Ticehurst Park Aboriginal engraving site, some of the most beautiful and most important rock carvings in the mountains. It features 3 very distinct emu carvings, 6 mundoes or footprints, and a number of axe-grinding grooves. This is truly a special place, and I can feel a deep history here that has resonated for thousands of years and will continue to do so for thousands to come. Now, I wonder what other treasures we'll have in store today.
Wow. John, this is a truly incredible collection that you've brought into here today. I see a reoccurring theme. Tell me about your collection.
I started collecting moon jewellery over 40 years ago. It branched out from enamels. I used to collect antique enamels, and then it was actually only a few years ago I discovered that I was actually delivered by a Dr. Moon when I was born.
Incredible. And that, was that, so you'd been collecting and then you found out after the fact?
Yes, yes.
Oh, how serendipitous. Yeah. It's an incredible collection, focusing on the man in the moon concept or motif, which we see really rise to prominence in the late Victorian period going into the early Edwardian period. And often these pieces are made of carved moonstone, which has the beautiful sort of billowy light. It's a phenomenal gemstone, which means it has a very special optical characteristic. And that optical characteristic is a jewellerescence. And when we look at a piece and we hold it up to the light and we move it around, we see that sort of, that glow, that beautiful glow. And of course, that's very reminiscent of the moon. This, we can see in the gallery here, this beautiful open work in gold. A really beautiful example. I feel it would look quite lovely on me.
It's very lovely on you.
Maybe I could convince you to let me take it home. So let's talk about value. At retail, I think you'd be well in excess of $120,000, $150,000.
That's excellent. Thank you.
Wow. Are you over the moon?
Totally. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it in to share with us all today. It is truly a remarkable collection.
Thank you very much. It was lovely to see my collection spread out because I don't get to do it very often. I'm going to keep them because I'm still buying them. It's a really interesting search and I'll keep doing it for as long as I can.
With intricate lines and lasting charm, we now take a look at a beautiful etching of an iconic Sydney landmark.
Amanda, can you tell me a little bit about this wonderful etching by Jessie Trail?
Yes, so it was inherited by me from my mother and from her mother before her. And Jessie Trail is a relative of ours, so I think Mum's second cousin. And Mum herself was an artist, so Jessie Trail was a bit of a mentor for Mum.
Jessie Trail is really known as one of the most important etchers of the interwar period and one of the best Australian printmakers of the 20s and 30s. But really, the etching that you have brought for us today is part of the series for which she was most renowned. It's the building of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, where she created 6 etchings and 2 aquatints, and this work was completed between 1927 and 1931. This places her within a period of a cohort of women artists who were really beginning to make their careers as professional artists in Australia. Many of these women had studied overseas and they brought this concept of modernism back to Australia. And like Jessie Trail, they were real trailblazers. I know, I love that her name has that association. So these are really, really important pieces.
Yeah.
And we can see from the little inscription underneath that each of them were printed in an edition of 30, and they don't come to auction very often at all. Well, I think many of these bridge etchings, because they're historically so important, they are held within museum collections. So based on similar etchings of a similar size, I would say an auction estimate, if there's competition, it could reach 8,000 to 10,000.
Wow, amazing. Thank you.
didn't realise that. So that's very exciting news. Mum would be very proud. Thank you.
Warwick's brought in an interesting item here. It's a box, a silver-mounted box. What can you tell us about it, Warwick? Is it something you've had in your family for a long time?
Yes, it's a family heirloom. As a young fellow going to my grandparents, I apparently commented on it to my grandmother a number of times. And on her passing, she said to my father, make sure Warwick gets the box. And then I found out, once receiving it, that it belongs to my great-great-grandfather, Captain John Gard, who was a captain of the SS Illawarra, part of the steamship company that travelled up and down the coast from Sydney to Wollongong. And it was given to him on his retirement in 1904. And yeah, family heirloom at this stage that I'll hand on to my boys, I assume.
Fantastic. Let's have a look inside. The top lifts up, the front door opens, and as you can see, it's a smoker's companion from back in the days when every self-respecting sea dog would have had a big pipe. We have compartments, drawers here, which have currently got matchboxes in them. The actual box itself is open with these silver-plated mounts in a sort of neo-Gothic, Gothic revival style. A little barrel inside for mixing your tobacco, done like obviously like a proper barrel with sort of bands around it and a little escutcheon at the front there. But really lovely survivor, I think, from the days of steam travel and smoking. I mean, the value for things like this, it's not huge because of people don't smoke. People do love boxes. I would say you're looking at, something in the region of $500, $800, not massive. If it was solid silver mounted, probably a little bit more because of that.
It holds a lot of value to the history of my grandmother and myself and my family.
It's a very special thing to keep and have, and a great piece of social history as well.
It is, thank you. Now we take it home and just try and maintain it in the condition it is, keep the history between my children and pass it on to them when the time comes so they can keep the history going.
Our experts get to see extraordinary antiques all the time, but discovering a potential unknown treasure from one of the 20th century's most celebrated artists, well, that's priceless. But is this one a fake or a fortune, to quote one of my other favourite shows?
Liz and Sheldon, what a pleasure that you've brought with you this extraordinary Picasso.
We hope.
We hope. Can you tell me a little bit about where you acquired this picture?
Well, we are actually on holidays in Maui in 2017, and we happened to notice a sign which said,
"We sell dead rich people's stuff."
Oh!
It was the deceased estate of a doctor on Maui, and he bought up his entire estate. And this is one of the pieces from the estate. We end up paying $1,600 US dollars.
Okay, so we have a work on paper by the signature Picasso. Now, Picasso really needs no introduction. He was probably the most famous artist of the 20th century. Now, when you say the name Picasso, immediately dollar signs come into everybody's mind because his auction price is $17 million for a work on paper. So,
wow.
If this is an original Picasso, it really could be something very, very special. So I brought with me my trusty magnifying glass, and I can see that the pastel is sitting on top of the paper, and it's lovely and textured, and if it was a print, then the colour would reduce down into the little pixels of the printing colours. I'm not seeing any of that.
Wow.
So I can say that it is an original drawing on paper. And under the magnifying glass, the signature looks good.
I hope you're right.
There is the Picasso Authentication Board.
Yes.
And that is run by Picasso's heirs, and they do have the final say.
Our concern was that we were told if we did send it there and it wasn't genuine, they would destroy it.
We don't
So
want that
that's
to
why
happen.
we haven't pursued that avenue before.
And they don't give you a right of taking it back?
No. Once if they deem it not to be genuine, they will destroy it.
Well, I think it's worth following the path of authentication, because if we can absolutely attribute this to Picasso, then I think an auction estimate of 150 to 200,000 US dollars would be realistic for this work of art.
Wow.
Oh my So I think you could bank on 100 times.
It would be a good return on
what
our
you
investment.
originally paid. It'd be an excellent return on your investment. So I really do think that this is worth pursuing.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to bring it in.
It's been a pleasure.
We feel elated if that was the situation.
If.
If.
We always felt, having seen some other items that he showed me when we purchased it, that it could well have come from an estate of a collector.
My gut feeling is telling me that I think we might have a good investment.
Yeah, likewise.
Simone, you've brought in some beautiful silver candlesticks for us today. How did these come into your possession?
Well, look, my father had a real penchant for antiques. I think I recall him probably in the mid-80s. There was a beautiful antique shop in Berrima, and I believe they came from there.
And you have fond memories, presumably, growing up being dragged around to these antique stores and galleries?
Very much so. I'm an only child, so yes, that was something that we did, day trips. It is a fond memory, and my father and I shared a love of art and beautiful things.
Well, look, they're a beautiful neoclassical design, which was a movement that came about in the late 1700s as a reactionary movement to the Rococo. So where the Rococo was very opulent and grand and asymmetrical, the neoclassical designs kind of pulled it back, were much more understated and elegant. And neoclassicism was also heavily influenced by Roman and Greek culture. So we see this Greek key along the top here, and we've got the ram's head surmounting the stem here and the shaft. So we've got a number there. We've got the first one here, IG and Co. That's our maker's mark. That mark there was registered to a silversmith called John Green Roberts Mosley and Co. And they began their operation in 1793.
Wow.
So this one has a letter Z. And then if I look over here, this one has the same hallmarks, except it has a letter X. So if I just go to my trusty hallmark book here, I can look up the two letter symbols. So I've got the X is 1797 and the Z is actually the year previously at 1796. So made a year apart.
Yes.
What's really fascinating about this one that's made in 1797 is there was a period of time for just 9 months where the British doubled the duties on silver. So you'll see it's got two heads here for a double duty mark, whereas this one, the year previously, just has one.
Okay.
And that's the head of King George III. It's really interesting to see that this one was made in that 9-month period where they were doubling the duty, and that was to fund the Napoleonic Wars.
Wow, okay.
So the market for antique silver is not what it once was. The demand is not as high as it used to be. But I would say today, if they were to come up at auction, you'd be looking at about $3,000 to $5,000. If you were to walk into a retail store or antique dealer, you may well be asked to pay over double, maybe even $10,000.
It doesn't change that I would keep them because I love them. And yeah, they're just a special memory.
Sounds like they'll be the centrepiece of many dinner parties to come.
Indeed.
As the sun goes down at the National Trust Norman Lindsay Gallery, it seems only fitting to end our day with a piece of art from the man himself.
Everybody's packing up, so it's a final story of the day, but we couldn't resist talking about this fantastic thing. Here we are at Norman Lindsay House, and we have in front of us A picture by Norman Lindsay. Can you tell us something about how you come to have this?
This is a painting that was done for my grandmother, Betty Rogalski, and it was done in 1926 for her 6th birthday, and it was probably painted right here at this house.
Isn't that incredible? We see a figure so associated with Norman Lindsay through that wonderful book, The Magic Pudding, the figure of the koala who's holding down a little eucalyptus leaf to the bear standing below, who's saying up, "I'm Betty Rogalski's bear. Whose bear are you?" Isn't that absolutely charming?
Yeah.
Tell us something more about the story of what this means in your family.
So Betty's father, David, who's my great-grandfather, was friends with Norman. They lived close by on the Great Western Highway in Springwood, and his daughters Jane and Honey were friends with Betty and her sister Olga. And Jane and Honey apparently asked Norman to paint this for her birthday, and that's her bear, her actual bear.
What we love about Norman Lindsay as a draftsman, remembering that he started working for the Bulletin as an illustrator doing cartoons, and the graphic work, so that's the work in line that he's used here to capture the figure of the bear, the figure of the koala, just with those few deft strokes. You can see some underdrawing if you look really closely, but he's worked up the main lines in pen with very confident strokes. I also like the addition of colour here, so you just have very subtle use of what is perhaps a watercolour to get the brown of the bear, and then just another tone through with the koala and the gum leaves. Now, I think that we could put a value on this work of around $2,500 to $4,500 on this.
Oh, well, that's great.
Thank you for sharing this wonderful piece. It's an important part of your family history, but it's also an important part of all of our history. We're here at Norman Lindsay House, and here is a work that references some of his best-loved characters.
It's actually amazing to be here at Norman Lindsay's house talking about a painting that he painted for my grandmother in 1926, so that's nearly 100 years ago. There's no sum of money that would cause our family to part with it, but still, it's a reasonable amount of money.
Well, that's all for me for today. I'm off to pick up a copy of The Magic Pudding. From all of us here at Antiques Roadshow Australia, thank you so much for joining us, and it's bye for now.